Last night, I managed to push all the way into the top 7 in Axie Infinity Origin. Today, I'm going to tell you what team I was using, and no, it was not Triple Aqua. Now, this is the same team that I have used to push to the top since the very beginning of the launch, and at first I thought it was absolutely broken. Even without an optimized set of runes and charms, I still managed to have about a 90% win rate on all of my matches, bots or not. But then I started to worry. I mean, this is so broken, it's definitely going to get nerfed, right? But then something amazing happened. Chuck Fresco released a video on how to have unlimited moonshards for crafting runes and charms. If you haven't seen it yet, there'll be a link in the description below. This was possibly the best thing that could have happened for the Origin Alpha period. Giving everybody access to all the runes and charms really let people's theory crafting ideas flourish. Now it's no longer just triple aquas that I face in the arena. Now it's very unique teams, all different and varied with unique sets of runes and charms, and every match is a puzzle that I have to figure out on the spot. So for a full demonstration of my comp's prowess, we're gonna go over 2 matches. In the first match, our Axies will be completely naked, no runes or charms attached, but in the second match, we'll be fully powered up. Hey, quick disclaimer everybody, Ryan is not a financial advisor. Don't make any market decisions based on information you hear in this video.
Yes, I agree. Especially during this alpha period, everything is subject to a balance patch.
Yeah, everybody who plays this game should understand the volatile nature of cryptocurrency and do their own research. Can we get back to the video now?
Yeah!
Alright, so first let me describe the team. We'll go over the full moveset and then run into the first match. Before the second match, we'll talk about what I decided are the optimal runes and charms to attach to this team. So this team is based around poison and control, and for the frontliner, we're running with Slimy Tim. For the eyes and ears, we're running with Poppy and Hollow. Hollow has a lot of utility, but it damages you 75 damage. Poppy actually helps to heal that up. So right off the bat, we have some slight synergies there, but if we move down to the back and the mouth, we're using Mint and Tiny Turtle. Mint is an amazing card with a lot of utility. It provides 30 shield to all of your Axies for a total of 90 stats for a single energy, but it also provides them all 1 cleanser, which can be great for stopping poison or stuns. Now, Tiny Turtle is one of the best cards I think I've found so far. It allows you to stun any Axie you attack as long as you deal damage. Its only counter is a well-placed shield card. Now finally, for the horns and the tail, we are running with Beach and Yam. Beach has high damage output and decent shield, and Yam helps us gain those poison counters. Next up in the mid, we're running with Creepy Joe, and this is where the flavor of this comp really starts getting spicy. On the ears, we have Rosa, which has Innate, so it always starts in your opening hand. It applies 2 poison and sleep to a random enemy, so turn 1, you always have a guaranteed stun. Now it does have Banish as well, meaning you'll only have the opportunity to use it once. But Tricky on the eyes actually helps with that too. Aside from healing 50, if you use it as the first card your turn, it allows you to swap that card out with one of your Banish cards, so you could get Rosa back from the Banish pile. Now, unfortunately, the Tricky card is sort of broken right now. It doesn't actually swap when you try to use it, but I'm sure that that'll be fixed in a future patch. Next up on the back, we are playing Green Thorns, which applies 12 poison counters randomly on your enemies. It's actually a very strong card, especially when used early game. And I said poison and control, so of course we've got Tiny Turtle on the mouth as well. For the tail, we went with Thorny Caterpillar, which deals 50% more damage against a debuffed target, and considering most of my enemies will have poison, it seems like a great addition to this team. Now, Imp does deal decent damage, but it has no great utility. It is really the big downside of this particular Axie. Now, finally, in the back, we have my pride and joy, Crunk Chomper. Now on the ears, we have Rosa as well, just because that first turn stun potential is so strong. We also have Clear on the ears, which gives us a lot of draw power, which helps a lot, especially when you're flooded with revenge cards. The back and mouth are the same as the middle Axes, so let's skip down to the horns and tail, and here we're going with Kestrel and Tadpole. Kestrel is also a very strong control card, and while it can't target any enemy, it does always guarantee a disarm, which prevents your enemy from playing any attack card. cards. And finally, we have Tadpole on the tail, which works, but personally I would prefer a 2-cost card like Thorny Caterpillar. The concept behind this team is to keep your enemy stun locked while you have time to start placing poison counters all over the place, and then let that poison slowly drain their health until the victory. Alright, let's check out the first match. Now remember, game 1 is without any runes or charms, and here we're up against a triple aqua team. Right off the bat, my biggest concerns are Mint and Hollow. Hollow will summon a unit with Taunt, preventing me from using Chomp on his backlane Axies. And if he uses Mint, he could provide a cleanser to each one of his Axies, which will also cause my stun to misfire. So we gotta be careful about Mint and Hollow. Let's get right into it and see what happens turn 1. So he goes with Sleepless. He provides a Daze into my discard pile. He also goes in with a Lamb for 85 damage. He actually does have the Mint, so he provides 30 shield and cleanser across the team, but you know what? It's not gonna stop me. I start off with Rosa. Rosa provides poison before the sleep. So while poison is actually cleansed by the cleanser, sleep does actually go through. And that Axie is officially stunned. Now I use Kestrel on the front. Kestrel got rid of the cleanser. Now I'm able to Rosa, and luckily it hit the front line as well, providing 2 poison and sleep. So now my enemy has 2 stunned Axies on his second turn. So on his second turn, he doesn't have very many options. He has Risky Fish and Bubble Maker, but then he's forced to pass without playing any of his other cards. Alright, now we are on turn 2 for me, and I start off with Beach. For the high damage and to provide 75 shield, I use the coin card, and now I'm going to play both Tiny Turtles to stun the back lane and the front lane. Now, the reason why I'm going for the back lane and the front lane is because they both have Koi, which is the highest damage output card on the entire team. So if I can prevent both of them from playing their Kois, I'm going to be much safer in the next round. Okay, now it is turn 3 for my opponent. He still has 2 stunned Axies, and he is forced to pass because he cannot play any cards. My plan is working perfectly. My third turn, I start off the match with Hollow. Hollow brings my plant down to a dangerous amount of health, but it could prevent one of my back lane Axies from taking damage in the next turn, so I think it's the right move here. I also go in with Imp and both my Green Thorns to start getting that massive poison damage across the board. Alright, it is now turn 4 for my opponent, and none of his Axies are stunned this time, so he has the potential to use all of his cards right now. He starts off with a Goldfish, he brings my Trunk to an almost dead state, finishes it off with the Anemone, and finally he uses Nemo and Gyaro to finish off my plan. Alright, turn 4 for me now. I have 1 Tiny Turtle, Imp, and Tadpole. I'm going all in with my 3 attack cards, giving massive damage to the frontliner, and stunning the mid lane to hopefully prevent him from playing another Mint. Alright, now moving into my enemy's turn 5. He does draw into the Mint, so we actually prevent him from playing it there to get Cleanser on the rest of his Axies. He goes in with a little bit of damage, but it is just not enough to take out my mid laner. Now coming back to me, we draw into a Kestrel and a Tiny Turtle, guaranteeing us at least 2 stuns. I use the Fallen Longsword to take out the frontliner, so I can disarm the mid lane and stun the back lane, giving me a pretty safe flow into my next turn. Now, as you can see, all of my enemy's cards are disabled or stunned, so the only cards he can actually play here are the Revenge cards, which gives the Revenge cards a little bit of utility. They're actually pretty good in this situation. Alright, coming back to me, and our draw here is going to be pretty important. We got a horrible draw. Thorny Caterpillar here is really our only good option. I could play Tricky as well, but because the initial effect is broken right now, it's not going to help me that much. The health gain isn't going to prevent my Axie from dying next turn. So I'm going in with Thorny Caterpillar. Now we're going to use the clear to get rid of some of the non-usable cards, and we did draw into a Green Thorns, which is going to help us get those poison counters out there and help us get a little bit closer to victory. Back to the enemy. Now he is no longer stunned. Both of his Axies are fully usable. And he is going to go in with a Shoal Star to take out my midliner. My backliner is all out in the open, ready for him to get damaged. And he goes in with an Anemone and a Lamb, dealing decent damage, but you know what? I'm not too scared. I've got a lot of poison counters out there, and my backliner stands strong. Now, we have Imp, which is going to help us get to that kill. We can also use the Revenge Fallen Longsword to finish him off, and Tiny Turtle to stun the backliner, and this basically brings me to victory. He can't play any cards in his next round, and I can finish him off on mine. You see here, all he does is draw into revenge cards, which he can use to deal a little bit of damage, but it's not enough to save him. He's going to use the Fallen Glove to provide a little bit of shield, and on my next turn, the match is over. Even if I don't attack, the amount of poison counters on him will finish him off before he even draws his next hand. And we go in with the Thorny Caterpillar for the victory. Now you might think that that was a close match, but most of my games have a similar outcome, where I'm down to one Axie with low health, but I'm able to limit their options so much that they just can't get the victory before the poison takes them out. But now let's get into runes and charms and figure out how to truly optimize this build. Now for the frontliner rune, we're actually going with Miracle Leaf. It allows you to start the game with 3 leaves, and you deal 15 extra damage per hit. This allows that plant to have a little bit more sustainability, as well as giving it a slight damage buff, which really helps in the situation with Yam when you want to damage a backliner before stunning it with Chomp. And for the charms, I went with Leafy Pot on my most used plant cards. Leafy Pot allows you to give all your teammates 1 leaf, which heals you 5 HP in between turns. This can be really great to heal up from damage that's taken from Hollow, or prevent a lot of poison damage from coming your way by placing leaves on your entire team. Now the mid laner. For the rune, we actually went with Gloomy Dice. In odd rounds, apply Hex to all enemies for 2 turns at the start of your turn. In even rounds, apply Fear to all enemies for 2 turns. Hex and Fear both cause curse cards to be shuffled into your opponent's deck whenever they play the respective attack or shield card. This can really disrupt their card draw and give you even more control with this comp. And for the charms, we went with Sticky Lizard on Greenthorns. Poison is very important in this comp, and if I don't have the energy to play Greenthorns, I definitely don't want to lose out on that opportunity for poison. So Retain here makes a lot of sense to me. And for the rest of the charms, we just went with Vitality for a little bit of extra health. And finally, for the backliner, we are actually going with Malediction. Deal 10% more damage against debuffed enemies. Take 20% less damage from debuffed enemies. Now, considering this is a poison comp, all of my enemies are going to be debuffed. That's just a given. So this rune gives me a lot more sustainability and a lot more damage output when I'm in that 1v1 scenario. It's very important. Now, because this Axie is a Chop Suey, we don't have a lot of potential points to throw around, so I just went with Vitality on all of my cards. Now that we're fully powered up, let's hop into the next match and see how this comp fares. Alright, let's get right into the second match now. We are fully powered up with runes and charms, and we're going against another triple Aqua team, this time with HP and damage buffs. So let's get right into it, and turn 1, we get to go first, so we start off with the Yam. That's going to put 2 poison on each of our enemies, as well as providing 1 leaf for each of our own allies. Then we're going to go in with both Rosas and hope to God we get that 66% chance of stunning both of them. And of course we do. We get the frontliner and the backliner both stunned. Now it's going to be my opponent's first turn, but their options are already very limited. Now the only playable card they have here is Piranha, so they go ahead and use that. Then they pass since the rest of their cards are currently stunned. Now it's my second turn, and we're going in with Greenthorns to provide poison counters across the board, Tadpole for a little bit of damage on the front. Then we're going to go in with Hollow to provide a little bit of extra utility. And finally, Mint to provide shield and cleanser across the board. We've got 3 leaves now on all of our friendly Axies, so we're in a really good position. They are not stunned here, so they do have a lot of options this turn, but considering my trunk has effectively 105 health, I feel pretty safe going into the next round. So they go in with a Risky Fish that's only going to bring the trunk down to 15 damage. They also get confused because of the Gloomy Dice. They finish off the trunk with Koi, but that is a very big misplay. They could have used Blue Moon and Inkling to at least do a little bit of damage to my plant. It looks like they misplayed there. Let's go ahead and see what happens in the next turn. So going into my next turn, I got a God Hand. We start off with Kestrel to stun the frontliner. We also have Tiny Turtle to stun the mid, and another Tiny Turtle to stun their last Axie. They are fully stunned now. We're saving Greenthorns for the next turn because this Greenthorns actually has the retain effect. So we're going to save that for the next round to still get those poison counters out there. It is their turn now, and they can't play anything. They have 0 options. So they go ahead and pass. Of course they do. Now it's my turn again. We're going to go in with a Hollow for a little bit of extra shield. Poppy to heal up from the hollow damage. Green Thorns provide poison counters for the enemy team. And finally, Tiny Turtle to stun their middle Axie. The Axie with Cuckoo and Koi I felt were the biggest threats. Alright, going into my enemy's next turn, they only have one stunned Axie, but they draw into 2 of their confused cards, which really limits their options. So all they have to do is go in with a Goldfish. They're probably going to use the Telescope. Let's see here in a second. And no, they actually go ahead and opt to pass their turn, bringing it back to me. Alright, so this turn, we actually draw into a God Hand again, Kestrel and Tiny Turtle, allowing us to stun all 3 of my opponent's Axies. At this point, it is a really bad day for them. They have just had so many turns where they're drawing into cards with absolutely no options. It really does seem like this build is broken at the moment. So again, they draw into their hand, 0 options for them to play, so they have no choice but to pass once more. Bringing it back to my turn, let's see what we draw into. Here we have the option to, okay, so we're going to go in with Imp. Now we're probably going to go in with Green Thorns to provide more poison counters across the board, and Mint to provide more shield, cleanser, and leaves to the rest of our team. So now my 2 backliners both have 5 leaves each. Now it's my opponent's turn. They are not stunned this time, so they have full reign to go all in with their damage cards. They are attacking, but they're also shuffling more confused cards back into their discard pile, and they actually decide they're off their turn at this point. I think they are giving up hope. I don't think they have any chance of success at this point. So it's coming back to me. I'm going to go in with one of my Green Thorns. I'm going to leave the one that has Retain and just go in with 2 stuns. Stun both their big damage dealers, leaving them with very little options into the next round. By the chance they have the opportunity to use these Axies again, they will both be dead due to the poison. So it's my opponent's turn again. They get their hand drawn, and they immediately gave up. They had 0 options. They knew they couldn't win the game. It was over for them. So, is this team broken? Well, I think it might be a little early to tell. While this does seem like it has a lot of potential, I got really lucky in some of those turns. And now that runes and charms are fully accessible to everybody, I've seen a myriad of teams with completely different strategies that have totally destroyed my comp. And currently, a lot of card effects don't currently work the way they should. For example, Tricky does not swap out with a banished card. And the rune Sturdy Fighter, which provides you extra damage equal to your shield for non-multi-hit attacks, currently works with multi-hit attacks. So until everything is working the way that it should, I'm going to refrain from suggesting nerfs or buffs. But if you want to see the other amazing Axie teams I come up with, make sure to hit the subscribe button below. Until next time, thanks for watching.